Chapter 11. Parenting. "What were you thinking?" I questioned Kat as we were leaving the police station. It had been a tense hour, waiting in the station for Officer Pesky to come and lead me to the room where they had held Kat. I felt like he had been deliberately keeping me waiting. Once I was reunited with my daughter, Pesky waxed long on how children should be kept under control and not be found wandering crime scenes. I had to agree, while Kat sat silently with her arms crossed, her shoulders hunched. Finally, Pesky stopped lecturing the both of us and let Kat go with a warning. I signed paperwork, and the police released Kat's bicycle into our care so we could leave. The street lights were starting to come on, and I was hungry. I was annoyed at having to leave work early just to come and sit at the police station. I was also extremely worried about my daughter. Kat had never given me any trouble before. I could count on her to be home on time, do her homework, and help around the house. She was the best kid I could ever have hoped for. "Kat, you need to talk to me," I said as I unlocked my bicycle. "What happened?" "I don't want to talk about it," declared Kat as she waited for me. "Tough. We are going to talk about this," I replied sternly. "Not here," stated Kat firmly. "Not where people can overhear." "Fine. We will discuss this at home." I began pedaling. It wasn't long before Kat passed me, heading straight home. Once there, I noted the crime scene tape on the door of Carl's apartment as I put my bicycle in the shed alongside Kat's. Locking the shed up, I noticed Kat had already unlocked our door and was inside. I followed her in, shutting the door behind me and kicking off my flats. "Kat?" "I'm in the kitchen," came Kat's reply. The high-pitched beeps from the microwave told me she was setting the timer. "There is leftover chicken fried rice if you want some." Going to the kitchen, I grabbed a plate and started spooning rice onto it from the delightful dumpling carton. "Why were you at the Silver River today after school instead of home doing your homework?" "Can we talk about this later?" grumbled Kat. "I'm hungry." "No, we are going to talk about it now," I responded, setting down my plate so I could turn my full attention to her. "I would like an answer." With a huffing sigh, Kat pulled her now hot plate out of the microwave and put it on the table. She crossed her arms and frowned at me, her eyes troubled. "Pete Pesky said his dad thought you were suspicious in the whole Carl murder thing. He kept saying you were going to jail, and I was going to be an orphan for real, not just in the cemetery tour." "Since when do you listen to Pete Pesky?" I asked. Pete Pesky was Officer Pesky's son. He had skipped a grade to get into Kat's, and the two of them were always butting heads. "His dad is Officer Pesky," muttered Kat. "Pete just wouldn't stop. All day he was just shooting his mouth off, and I just thought if there was something the police had missed, some clue, then maybe everything would be fine. You wouldn't be on Pesky's short list, and the real killer would be found." "Sweetie, that's not your job," I sighed. Coming forward, I gave her a hug. "Your job is to be an amazing daughter, good student, and generally happy. It's my job to worry about the big stuff." "But what if they do charge you with murder?" Her muffled voice came against my shirt as she hugged me tightly. "We don't have the money for a lawyer, and I don't want to live with Graham and Gramps." "Well, since I didn't kill Carl, I think I'm safe from being tossed in jail," I stated firmly, ignoring the butterfly of fear in my chest. "Please stop worrying about this." "Are you sure it's going to be okay? That Pete is just a jerk?" she asked worriedly. "I'm sure," I repeated. "Now eat your food before it gets cold." Kat nodded and slowly let me go. "Can we watch television in your room tonight?" Sometimes, when Kat was scared as a kid with thunderstorms, she would come to my room, and we would turn up the volume on the old black and white television in there, pretending everything was right with the world. As she got older, Kat mostly faced her fears on her own. However, every once in a while, she would still ask to come to my room to watch the old television set. Usually, she ended up sharing the queen-size bed with me. "As long as we go to sleep on time," I offered. "It's a school night, and if you have any homework, it needs to be done." I know. Kat grabbed a glass of water before sitting down to her meal of leftover Chinese and whatever else had caught her fancy in the nearly bare fridge. I really needed to go grocery shopping. The list had gotten bigger this week, and I was waiting for payday. I probably should have saved the money from last night's takeout and used it for groceries instead. Rummaging through the fridge, I added to my plate and put it in the microwave to heat it. "There was something the police missed, though," suddenly blurted Kat. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter of One Drop's Dead, please consider subscribing to the channel. This means that you won't miss future chapters that drop each week, especially if you hit the little bell. Happy listening.